Well, welcome back. It's been a while since I've had a chance to sit down and make some videos. It's been a busy summer. So we're going to tie the golden pheasant spey. I actually do a married D-wing version of this. I'm not going to do that on this one just because it takes quite a bit of extra time. But you can reach out to me if you're interested in that. So what I have in the vise is an Alec Jackson steelhead iron. This is a size 3. You can really tie these on whatever size you want. I don't think that there's necessarily a right or wrong size. This would probably be on the smaller end. I like to tie them on a 1.5, which brings it out to about here. But it gets a little bit lengthy for the video. So anyway, we'll get rolling. Thread I'm going to use is orange 70 denier 80 from Uni. You can use GSP and color the head. You can use red. You could use yellow. Really whatever you want here. So I'm just going to start my thread right behind that return eye. Just come in a little ways. And then next what we need is medium copper flat tinsel. I meant to cut some and I didn't. There we go. You'll need a little bit of this guy here. Try to do this on Facebook and do a live on it, and my phone kept overheating, and because it's been so hot, I've been having problems with trying to get video shot and or uploaded because my phone does not like the heat. It's getting old. So we're going to start this in, and we're going to slowly work it to the bottom side, bringing it back to the barb. That's good. Now as I come back, you want to kind of try to work this through so that you've got a nice base to lay this on. And you can get super technical with this fly if you want to make it showcase quality. I actually won a local competition for best salmon fly just a few weeks back on this particular pattern. I did the married D-wing though. And we'll just bring our thread up to the hook point. I'm going to add just a drop of super glue right on top of that base just to give it some extra strength. Oh, I need a paper towel. Oh, I got one here. And we'll start bringing this forward. I typically do 2 turns on that first turn in the back. If I've got a little step I need to come up. Really want to tie this off on the top side to hide anything. There we go. And I'll just kind of wrap this in going forward. I'm just open spiraling this here. You can, like I said, you can get super technical with this if you want and make everything super perfect flat. My goal here is just to show you how I tied it. I had several people ask how I tied the fly, so. And I'll take a little bit more time coming back. So the original pattern calls for polar bear, orange polar bear. We're not allowed to use that here in the States. So I'm just gonna use some orange bucktail. I'm gonna take my thread just slightly into that copper to make sure I don't have any gaps there. And still keeping it pretty much in line with my hook point. So just got a little bit of a orange bucktail. There you go. Looking for a different pair of scissors. And you want to get, we don't want a ton. And I've got the tip of the bucktail here, so the length varies quite a bit right in here. At least on this, this particular piece of bucktail. So I'm going to get out, not a ton. Something about like that. If you twist it together, it's about the diameter of the shank. I'm going to start getting rid of my extra longs, my broken ones, my curved ones. I'm going to go ahead and slide my fingers up to the tips. Pinch and pull, get rid of all the short ones. We don't want those. This is why I cut a little extra off, so I can really kind of weed through it and get just the right pieces. So after it's all said and done, from that little piece I clipped out, I'm going to deplete this by probably by 2/3. And we want this tail to be just right about the overall length of the shank from the front of the eye to the bend. So that's pretty good. I'll do a pinch wrap. Adjust it, put everything back on top if I need to. I'm going to come back and make sure I've got it right where I want it. We want this part to sit up so you can kind of pull down tight here and sneak a thread wrap under if you need to, just to help stabilize it and keep it up before we start to wrap all this in going forward. And once this thing is wet, it's not going to matter a ton. This fly is fairly simple to tie. It's not necessarily easy, but it's simple. And we're going to take this bucktail all the way up to try to help keep the underbody fairly reasonable. There we go. And we'll just bring it up to the return. And we'll start to trim this out. And I'll just tie that in. And we'll start to work our thread back. And we're going to bring this right back to where we got everything meeting up. That's good. This fly does take a little bit of time to tie. So next we need some golden pheasant crest. And we want 2 or 3. I kind of like them so that they're just a little bit flatter, because they're going to sit out back like so. And then I like to try to get them so that they've got enough length to make the distance all the way forward to help just keep the symmetry of the fly. And we're just going to lay these right on top. And if you've got some wonky ones, which I know are quite common. You can steam them out. You can fight with them. Whatever you got to do to get them on there. So the back half of this fly, there we go, and then you can just kind of lift up to keep it up. So the back half of this fly is going to be floss. So now as we bring this forward, we want nice, tight touching turns. Until we get to just past the middle. And if you've got some short stuff, I'll take it out after I've kind of got it already situated. Pipe down, dog. And the point of this is just to make it easier for you to wrap the floss and get your floss to be a little bit nicer. If you got a ton of lumps and bumps in there, it'll make it a little difficult, although it's not going to be seen very much, so if you've got a few, it'll be okay. Sorry, my dog hears the neighbor out there. She's being all investigative. Yeah, we'll come just a little bit more. Okay. Now we can pick up the pace a little bit. And you'll see why it won't matter too much when we get to the front side. Now I'm going to go ahead, excuse me, and bring this up onto the return, just to help kind of fill that gap. As you can see, this tends to work out pretty well for that. I'm going to hang my fingernail clippers in there. One of the best tools in the business, fingernail clippers. Now we can kind of pick up some of this slack on the front end, get our taper in place. Better to do it now than try to do it when you're halfway or further through the dressing. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so next what we actually need is copper oval tinsel. I can't seem to find it anywhere, so what I'm going to use is a Legarten mini flat braid in copper. I'm going to pull out quite a good bit. Probably close to 12 inches, I guess. And we're going to bring this thread right back to the middle point. You need to kind of visually determine where that middle point is. That's going to be a big part of the fly, or main part of the fly. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this flat braid, wrap it around my thread. I'm going to even my tips up. I'm going to bring it down underneath and I'm going to wrap both pieces in. And come forward back to where we started, and I'm just going to put this in a clip and leave it hanging out back for a minute. Okay, next we need some just orange floss, and you're going to want probably 12 inches of this too. Definitely make sure you overcut. Don't cut yourself short here. And this part you can get, again, you can get super fancy with if you want. I'm just going to line this up so that it's going past the front. We're actually going to tie this in from this point going forward. And then what we want to start paying attention to actually is just right here, because we need a little flat platform for our black ostrich. And so once you get to this front side, if it twists and bends and moves on you, it doesn't matter so much, to be honest. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to start the process of bringing this back. Again, you can spend a lot of time flattening this out if you want for more of a wall hanger piece. But if you're just going to fish with it, you don't really need to do that. Bug zapper's getting them tonight. Whoa, finger got stuck. And then we'll start to bring this back forward. And at this point, I'm actually going to go through my little space that I want kind of flat. Just to make sure the floss carries over to the front side. Okay. I'll tie this in going forward. Okay. Okay. So clean that up a little bit. We're right back basically where the floss stopped there. Okay, so now to mimic the oval tinsel, we're going to take this and just spin it, twist these two pieces together to make the oval tinsel. And we want to get three to four wraps in here for the rib. Back this off just a fuzz. I'm going to come to the front side where the same material is actually going to pick up again. Okay. You do need to be kind of mindful of your eye and where everything's lining up, because it can be encroached on pretty easy. So we'll bring this thread back. work on just kind of tying this down a little bit. Keep that little platform I was talking about. All right, the light on? No? There we go, sorry. Okay. So next what we need is some yellow feathers from a golden pheasant. And these are going to be the veil. So I'm just going to line up these tips. And strip them out. Get rid of all the junk. We want to basically have it so all the tips are in the same position going forward. I'm going to put this one on top because the stem broke. So first I'm going to put my bottom one on. I'm going to invert my fly. And we want these to go just right into that throat, maybe just a touch past the bend. So I kind of carefully grab them and pull them over. And I'll do a loose turn, pull up, loose turn, pull up. And then we can start to adjust it so it encompasses, we want it to encompass the bottom half. Ooh, that bug got zapped. Big time. Okay, where'd it go? Okay. The stem broke, so we gotta be a little more careful. Again, just loose turns over and up. I'm gonna check to make sure that these yellow barbs are moving all around the fly at a nice distribution. Doesn't have to be perfect, but and then as I come forward, I'm going to kind of use these barbs to make the final part of my platform for my peacock hurl. Or I'm sorry, for my ostrich hurl. Okay. Let me get my small fine scissors out for this. Make sure everything is sitting well. Kind of tease it out and open. Sorry if I'm too close to the microphone. Kind of missed it on that backside, just a fuzz. That's good. We want to come in and trim these out pretty close. Okay. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so now on to black ostrich. You want to just try to get a nice one that's relatively flat and straight. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and clip out the bottom ½ inch or so. I've just noticed that, you know, you really typically fight with that part fairly well, so I just try to avoid that. So once we strip off, I don't even know if that's a word, but once we strip off some of the ostrich hurl and leaving just a little piece of stem, I'm going to line the actual hurl up with the back side. Just right on the side. And you want it so that it's sitting off to the side, shiny side facing up. And then make some really nice turns, kind of complete this little platform here. I don't know if you can see that, but it's only about a bodkin width. And when we lift up and turn around, that platform, as long as it's nice and flat, should be enough for you to kind of build the eye, as it were, of this fly. It's a neat pattern. The hurl can be finicky to work with, and it breaks easy, so if I break it, I'll have to put a new one on. And I'm gonna go one more. Again, I'm gonna tie this off on the top side. Okay. And now I'm just going to work all this in going forward, trying to trap as few or none of these little ostrich barbs as possible. So bring this all the way up. Okay. There we go. It's looking pretty good. So next, what we need is to do the front half of the body. I'm going to go back to the Legarten copper flat braid. And this time I'm going to pull off a little bit more, probably closer to like 15 inches. Because it's going to do double the work as it did the first time. We're going to do the same thing. Pull it under our thread. Tie it in. Start to twist it here. And we're going to wrap this back. And I'm just giving it a extra twist every time I go around, because you start to lose some of that twist. And this material gets chewed up fast doing this. And bring it right up to that ostrich hurl. Reverse course and bring it back forward. Now, if you're running out of, if you didn't cut enough, and you're coming back forward, you can actually just go ahead and rib this going forward if you need to. Or if you get, 2/3 of the way forward and you're like, oh man, I don't have enough. Just back the forward wraps back to the hurl again, and then just rib the fly. Just make sure you don't get any gaps up in there. But at 15 inches, I had 7 inches on each side. I'm down to about an inch, about 1.75 inches. So it chews up quite a bit of work, or quite a bit of material here, I mean. Okay. And again, I'm going to tie that off on the top side. And for this part, I'll go ahead and add just a touch of super glue right here, just to just to give it that little extra. I'll wrap back over it a few times, just tying any loose items down. Okay. Now there we go, okay. So next what we need are the red feathers from a golden pheasant. And you want the barbs or the length to be from the head when you're selecting it. I've already pre-selected these. So that they draw right back in again to the throat and kind of where the veil is. The idea is that they're just past this veil a little bit. Give me a second. I prepped the one and now I gotta prep the other. Okay. And we're going to tie these in, my thumb out the way, both together on the side. I'm going to get one over. I'm going to take one wrap to the back and then one wrap to the front, giving it a locking tie-in. And you want to keep your thread wraps as smooth as possible right here. And hopefully you don't have too much bulk built up so that you can really wrap your hackle nice. I'm going to turn this around and fold it to the back. Do the same thing going to the back. Just tying it in. Look at that little spot showing right there. Now these wraps here are actually going to, excuse me, they're going to provide the foundation for the head. You can trim out the tips at this point. And then we're going to wrap them together at the same time. You kind of want to fold this hackle over going towards the back. Now the trick here is to keep those stems nice and taut and then also tight together as you wrap this forward. And then what happens when you do that is they typically lay down really well for you. As you come around, oh, okay, it ran out right there. Oh. Well, it'll be okay if it holds. Yeah, I think it's going to hold. I'm just going to wrap my thread back. That popped off on me. That stem, one of those stems slid off at that very end junction right there, but overall it held, and so we'll call that a win. Sometimes you just got to back your thread off and uncapture it and whatever. But actually that held quite nice. Doesn't always do that. I just find it breaks better. The stem breaks better if you wiggle it off. And then all we're going to do is just finish the head. So again, the fly it's got some steps, and it's fairly simple. So at this point, I just do a wet whip and some UV. And some glue on there and place a few more wraps. And we'll add just a touch of UV just to kind of make the head complete. And again, if you're interested in doing the married D wing, we can do that. Or you can message me and I can kind of walk you through it if you want. I just didn't want to do it on the video because it can add quite a bit of time actually. You can literally add the same amount of time as it took to tie this fly, which is probably close to 40 minutes at this point. I haven't looked. 37, that's where I'm at right now. It's close. But overall, if you're just getting into tying spey flies or something like that, give this pattern a try. And you can change colors and stuff if you want to just mess around, do something else, but it'll give you a good idea of how to tie a fairly simple spey without having to get a bunch of ridiculously expensive material. You know, you start getting into, you know, blue-eared pheasant or gray heron if you can find it, because you can't use blue heron anymore. Then the cost starts going up very, very quickly per fly. So, so anyway, there you go. There's the golden pheasant spey. All right, well, if you liked the video, always appreciate a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share. Appreciate you sticking around, and we've got some classes coming up soon. And check out Fly Vault, we're up and running. Happy tying, everybody. Take care. We'll see you later.